I like that attitude. It's like, let's just see. Do you think we have everyone? Or do we? I'm not sure. Dottie would, and Chris. Yes. You can tell me as many things as you want to tell me. I'm here for it.
So this picture is something that my mother partially colored. So if you could say something like, you're welcome to join.
Yeah, participate in her art and finish it for her. Yeah, no, I love it.
That's what I did.
Okay. We'll start with that. You ready? Oh.
Let me just make sure we're running here. Yeah, looks like it. Okay.
All right. So without the microphone, the acoustics in here carry people everywhere. Can you hear me all right? I will do my best to stick to my German roots, my Pennsylvania Dutch roots, and not talk too quickly, but I can when I get excited, so you can let me know. Well, greetings, friends and family, on this special sacred day as we remember Nancy Miller Allison, who was born October 19th, 1927, and born into eternal life on Sunday, April 17th, 2022, on Easter Sunday, on a day that represents new beginnings and new life. On the front of this program, which also contains her poetry, what a gift. So Nancy drew this and colored it partially. This is an invitation to all of us to continue her art, continue her legacy, and just don't be shy with a colored pencil, a crayon, a highlighter, and later when you're thinking of her, perhaps remembering your favorite stories, you can participate with her, because as we'll remember today, her story continues on. Her story continues on in all of you. So my opening brief word is something I don't typically do, but it's appropriate for Nancy. I'm going to read a short poem. It's called The World We Make. And as I read it, I want you to think of how Nancy made your world a better and brighter place. The world we make the world in which we live by what we gather and what we give, by our daily deeds and the things we say, by what we keep or cast away. We make our world by the beauty we see in a skylark's song or a lilac tree, in a butterfly's wings, in the pale moon's rise, and the wonder that lingers in midnight skies. We make our world by the life we lead, by the friends we have, by the books we read, by the care we show in an hour of need, by the loads we lift, the loads we keep. We make our world by the goals we pursue, by the heights we seek and the higher view, by hopes and dreams that reach the sun, and a will to fight until the heights are won. We gather and scatter, we take and we give. We make our world, and there we live. It's appropriate to start this time with a poem. I know she would be pleased that her voice continues today as we gather by the reading of some of her own works. And so, first up is one that I have not read, Brady the Mystery Cat. Let's listen as Nancy's words continue today. Just step to the side.
So I'm going to read a short story called Brady the Mystery Cat. And I can see in my own life and in the life of my sister Kelly as well, we continue the trajectory of rescuing and loving of animals in our own lives, and I'm grateful to have that as part of Grandma Nancy's legacy, and also her creativity lives on in many of us. Brady the Mystery Cat. After 3 trips to the Humane Society to find a little friend to keep us company, we found Brady. I haven't a clue as to why I was drawn to this skinny black cat. Maybe it was those imposing yellow eyes, or maybe it was that deep inside me, I knew there was a kitty who needed some special love and attention. Or maybe he just reminded me of Scamp, my wonderful kitty who just disappeared a long time ago. Brady arrived at the shelter as a stray, and by the looks of him, he had been on his own for a very long time. He must have come from a loving family, for when I offered him my lap, he jumped right up and settled down. He was 8 or 9-year-old black and white short-haired cat. He had a body much like a Siamese and the same kind of eyes. He was mostly black with a little white on his chin, belly, and paws. I had never seen a cat with a body quite as long as Brady's. We left the shelter with Brady in a cardboard carrier. He didn't like this one bit and proceeded to claw a hole in the carrier, sticking his head out, making a god-awful racket. By the time we got home, I was beginning to wonder what I had gotten myself in for, as many who rescue animals question. Brandy's shelter name was Kenny, but the day we brought him home from the shelter was the same day Tom Brady won the NFL championship for the New England Patriots. It was an exciting game, and I knew I had to name my new friend Brady. He had a hard time settling down for the night. He thought we were never going to turn out the lights and go to bed so he could sleep. In the shelter, it was lights out at 6. The first week was nerve-wracking. His loud meowing, along with begging for food, took some getting used to. He wasn't interested in dried food. He wanted meat. When I took a pound of hamburger out of the refrigerator, he jumped right up on the counter, and if I hadn't been right there, he would have had a good meal. Another time, I took a pan of meatballs out of the oven, and they were cooling on top of the stove. When my back was turned, he stole one. He even found cooked chicken skin in the trash, which I quickly retrieved. Not only did I have to train Brady, I had to train myself. Meal times were frantic. He was constantly underfoot and crying loudly. I knew I had to control this situation. Shutting him up in another room wouldn't have worked, so I got out my spray bottle and trained him to sit in a chair and watch during mealtime. We lived in a condo, and the kitchen and living room are one big room, so it was easy. He learned to sit in the chair and wait for a treat. I never had a cat that did so much jumping on counters or furniture. I couldn't sit down without him jumping in my lap, and it didn't matter whether I had a cup of hot coffee or a book in my hand. If he wanted to sit by the patio door, he would jump on my lap, jump over to the arm of the sofa, and then up across the sofa back over to the love seat and then down to the floor. He has since found the floor route is just as good and quicker. He likes sitting or sleeping on the back of the sofa or love seat. I think he feels safe up there, and he can see out the sliding door as well as see all that is going on in the house. It got to the point where we were getting very annoyed with his jumping on the counters. There was cat hair everywhere and in everything, including the refrigerator. I never had a cat who shed so much, and he was ruining my furniture with his sharp claws. We couldn't get him declawed because he was too old to stand the painful operation. I decided I couldn't keep him any longer with all of his problems. I called up the shelter and made an appointment to see about taking him back. When the day came, I couldn't do it. Brady had already found a place in my heart. Even though Brady was eating, he was losing weight. When I took him to the vet, they found he had hyperthyroidism. This contributed to his starved reactions and his weight loss. He is now on thyroid medication for the rest of his life and has to have blood work twice a year. The thyroid medicine was too strong at first, and Brady was pretty sick. When cats are ill, they like to go away and hide in dark places. I think Brady found all of them, including one in my husband's workroom closet, where I found him curled up inside a box on a pile of cartons. I'm glad I only live in a condo, as sometimes it took a while to find him. Today he has good days and bad days, just like us, but I don't think he is suffering. He sleeps most of the day, and when he's not lying in the sun, he'll find some weird place to sleep. He doesn't seem to mind what he sleeps on. One time his favorite place was on top of papers and electric wires left on a futon. Being a stray taught him to seek any safe place for a quick nap, but his favorite place, of course, is my lap. In the morning while waiting for breakfast, we watched the morning news, and in the evening we watched some more or listened to music. The other night he was sleeping in the computer room when he heard us put on a CD. He decided he wanted to hear the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto too. He joined us, settling down in my lap. He was so attentive to the end. The very first day with us, I opened up the sliding door to the deck to throw out some crumbs to the birds when in a flash he was out that door. He stood a moment to look back at me and then took off in a hurry over the 2 feet of snow in the backyard. I was in my bathrobe and slippers, and I couldn't have picked him up if I wanted to. My husband was in the shower, so now what to do? I went back into the house and called my neighbor and asked her to watch out for a black cat heading her way. She looked out her window and saw Brady sitting on the edge of her property. Donna went all out in the snow and brought Brady back to me. I was so thankful to Donna that Donna had been able to retrieve him before he ran into the woods and was lost again. We are enjoying Brady with all his eccentricities. I receive most of the pleasure of his company. My husband has to feed him and tend to the litter, but he was a good sport about it. He knows I would do it if I could. What mysteries does this intelligent Sphinx-like creature have hidden behind those moving yellow eyes? Where did he come from? What has he been through? We will never know, but I do know now he has a warm and loving home and will never go hungry again. Brady was a wonderful Christmas present from my husband.
Hi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Miranda. I'm Grandma Nancy's youngest grandchild. I'll be reading a few poems that she wrote. So I think holidays are somewhat a special time for everyone, especially with families. This is a poem I heard Aunt Dottie really resonated with. I'll start. It's Christmas Eve. The town is quiet and peaceful. Gentle snowflakes float from the sky, covering the road with a blanket of white. Homes are alive with much activity as people prepare for the holidays. From their windows, Christmas trees shine on the snow below, painting it in red, green, and gold. Pine and holly wreaths hang on their doors. And in the distance, I hear carolers singing, "Joy to the world." And here's another collection of, this one's short verses from 2008. Cosmos having so much fun, dancing merrily in the sun. Crocus pushing through the snow, chase away our winter woes. The days, the weeks, the years go by so fast. What can I do to make them last? The light is fading, the pulse is weak, and I've aching bones and tired feet. Blue mountains in winter white is indeed a lovely sight. A pine tree is bending low, frozen in the latest snow. A chickadee pokes out its head, then returns to his snug bed. Trees are alive with a sparkling glow. Fields are covered with crusty snow. Life is buried under all, waiting for the spring to call.
The name of this poem is My River, Green River. And just to give you a little bit of a background, as mentioned in the obituary, Mom grew up in a small village in western Massachusetts, and there was a river going through the village. And so when she was younger, she would play in the river. And so this speaks to her memory of the river. I can still see my river with her calm, clear water, little pebbles dancing in the sunlight, and tiny minnows darting to and fro. I can see the cowslip nodding on her banks and the red-winged blackbird swaying in the willow tree. So peaceful, my river.
I can still smell the green, fresh water, magnifying the sweet fragrance of apple blossoms or newly mown hay. So fragrant, my river.
Oh my yes, her spring, as it trickled from the hillside into the main stream, I would cup my hand and bring that sweet, cool liquid to my lips. Nothing on earth tasted so good, so delicious, my river.
I can still feel the cold, cold water on my blue and numbing feet, but with courage I would dive and swim from one side to the other, soon emerging, my whole body alive and tingling with renewed energy. So stimulating, my river.
She could be moody, my river. On any summer day, she would appear to be in no hurry at all, gently flowing over the rock and around the bend. But on a sticky, muggy, dark day, she would have a complete change of faith. It was as if she turned over to show us her other side. She was no longer sparkling, but still dark and dank, mysterious and foreboding. I felt at any moment she might reach out and pull me down into the murky depths, or she would be roaring and splitting and foaming, raging mad because the storm had roiled her waters. So unpredictable, my river.
As fall neared, she got very weary of the hot summer days and sank farther and farther into the ground where she would be cool and safe. The pebbles that once glistened in the clear water were like chunks of dried earth. She grew thin, listless, apprehensive, waiting for the cold, windy rains of fall. So tired, my river.
Winter brought a new beauty to her, pure white snow decorating her banks, and she was covered with ice that shimmered in the sun. But my stout-hearted friend still hurried under the ice, and every now and then breaking through for sun and air. So cold, my river.
At last, it is spring. The snows of winter have melted into her and have given her new vitality. She is gushing and bubbling as she hurries over the rocks and around the bend and through the meadows. As she goes along, she sings, and the birds sing, and the little fish dance. It's spring. She is happy and ready to begin again. She made me happy, my river.
Because of time, do you still want me to read all things great? Or do you want us to skip the one? Yeah, I think so too. Are you reading silently? Oh, we're gonna just in the interest of time, we'll skip all things bright and beautiful. The lyrics are in there. It makes us think of her because it speaks again to poetry, but we'll have the oldest, the son, come and read and continue her voice.
Well, the two poems I have to read are short. The first one really speaks to the life that she led. In her early 30s, she came down with rheumatoid arthritis, and all of our lives changed. Hers most of all, of course. And you always had the feeling that despite being crippled in so many ways and in so many places, she really didn't want to be. She wanted to be back to the young woman who wrote and thought of poems like My Green River. So this first one she wrote, called Oh, Let Me Be Free. Take away the brace that holds me tight and tense. Let me loose, oh, let me loose, that I might run against the wind, and with watering eyes and pounding heart, feel free again. And I know I feel that way when I ride my bike down a hill. And I just wish that she had been able to, but somehow she managed. Okay, so this second poem is one that I guess she chose and liked, and it's sort of for all the rest of us to help us process. A silent tear. Just close your eyes and you will see all the memories you have for me. Just sit and relax and you will find that I am still inside your mind. Don't cry for me now, I'm gone, for I'm in the land of song. There is no pain, there is no fear, so dry away that silent tear. Don't think of me in the dark and cold, for here I am no longer old. I'm in the place that's filled with love and known to you all as up above.
And we'll have you close with the Greek blessing. These words of blessing are meant for all of you, those who continue on and still live, having lived different for her love. So close us out with this blessing, please. You want to stand up for the blessing? Yes, so Sue's asking if we could stand for the blessing, for those of you who are able.
May the sun bring you new energy every day, bringing light into the darkness of your soul. May the moon softly restore you by night, bathing you in the glow of restful sleep and peaceful dreams. May the rain wash away your worries and cleanse the hurt that sits in your heart. May the breeze blow new strength into your being, and may you believe in the courage of yourself. May you walk gently through the world, keeping your loved ones always with you, knowing that you are never parted in the beating of your heart.
So as we go forth from this place, may you do so with her fingerprints upon your heart and your life. She will live on because love is eternal. She lives on in all of you. Live a life that pleases the generosity of her spirit, and be free and play in the Green River and get your fingers wet and walk barefoot on the pebbles and live a full and vibrant life, knowing that we're all better for having known her, that she is at peace and free with God, and we may be at peace and live freely here until we meet her again in eternity. Blessings to all of you, and amen.
This concludes services today. On behalf of the family, I would like to thank everyone for your attendance and your support. Thank you.
Suggesting that they stand for the blessing.